Hey everyone, welcome to the Seneca OOP244 Workshop 1 walkthrough for Fall 2024. Let's get right into it and take a quick look at the program. What we'll be doing is how to make modules and namespaces. So if you look in the labs folder and you go into this file right here, 50bestmovies.cpp, they have a huge file here, lots of code, lots of different functions. And the whole point of this is to break up each concept into its own little module. So for example, we're going to be breaking up the movie stuff and the movie functions into its own module. We'll create all the file reading stuff into its own module, and then all of these utility functions will go in another module. Then we'll have our main function in its own file as well. Let's go back and look at the requirements. If you scroll all the way down until you see lab 1 right here, we can see what the program is going to look like when we run it. So we can use this to test it later once we have it working. And then down here, it's going to tell you all the different modules they want you to make. So they want you to create a file, movie, utils module, and then another main file just to hold your main function. Step 1 is just creating the project in Visual Studio. So to do that, we'll just create a new project. We'll just do an empty project, click Next. They don't specifically tell you what they want it to be named, but I'll just name this Workshop 1 Fall 2024, and let's press Create. So now let's go back into the main project here and scroll down till we see step 2. It's going to show us a picture of what our file system should look like. So we should have 3 H files, .dat file, and 4 CPP files. Let's go ahead and start making these. The best way to do it is just to right-click on your project name here. So if you right-click, you could go down to Add, and then you can click Class. So you'll add a class, and what this does is create a .h and a .cpp file for the name of the class you're creating. So let's just go ahead and press OK. Once it's created, we could just delete that class that it made, because all what we care about right now is just the 2 files, not the actual class itself. So let's go ahead and create movie and utils as well. So again, right-click, Add Class, and then here we'll do movie. It'll create the .h and .cpp. Press OK. I'll just delete this again. And then our last module would be for utils, class, utils. So that's the .h and the .cpp file. So let's press OK. And again, delete this right here. Okay, so we have our 3 modules created. Now let's make the main file. That's going to have our main function. So we're going to right-click on source, click Add, and then we're going to just add a new item here. And we'll just call this main.cpp. Click Add. Perfect. And then lastly, we need to create this .dat file. So that's like a data file. So here, let's right-click on source files. Click Add. Click New Item. Let's just name it movies.dat. So movies.dat. Click Add. And then it's going to probably, so it usually creates it down here. So just grab it, click and drag it up until it's in resources. And now it's in resources. So now let's move all the code into the appropriate places. First thing we're going to want to do is let's just populate that movies.data file. So let's scroll all the way back up. And let's go into the labs folder. And within the labs folder, we have movies.dat. So here, we're just going to copy the whole thing. And then inside of this file here, the movies.dat, we're going to paste it in and save it. Okay. So once we save the movies file here, let's just close it because we don't need to look at it anymore. Let's go back over to the lab here and let's scroll back down. So now that we have the proper file structure set up, let's start creating all of the data for each module. So let's start with the most simplest one. Let's do the utils file first. So if we scroll down, we will see all of the functions it wants us to include. So for the utils module, let's open up the utils.h. It's going to say we want the flush keys, yes, and 2 lowercase function. So if we go back to that bigger file, so let's actually scroll up. I'm going to right-click this and open in new tab. And then while that opens, I'm just going to scroll back down over here. So we want to find these three functions. So I'm just going to copy it, and I'm going to put a little comment here for now, just so then we can find them. So if we go into 50 best movies, we'll see that we have flush keys, yes, and two lowercase. So these are the three functions that we're going to want to put inside of our utils module. So let's start off by writing the safeguards by doing hashtag if and def. So if not defined. So we're going to check if Seneca underscore utils underscore h is not defined. Then we're going to do hashtag define, and then just paste in Seneca underscore utils underscore h. And then to close it off, we'll just do hashtag end if. And this is a little if block here with a safeguard. So everything we defined in here, we're going to want to put inside of the Seneca namespace. So let's create a namespace now by doing namespace and call it Seneca. And we're going to put the prototypes for those functions inside of here. Let's copy them, and then let's paste them in here. And then let's go ahead and delete this comment up here. So this should be everything we need for our utils.h file. So now let's go to our utils.cpp and write out the definitions for these functions. So the first thing we're going to want to do is do hashtag include, and we're going to include IOStream, because we're going to need this for the definition of those functions. And then let's also do using namespace std. And then when we write out the bodies of our functions, we're going to write them inside of that Seneca namespace. So we're going to write the same thing here, namespace Seneca. And now we can just scroll down and find the bodies for these methods here. So let's go down. Where are they? They're right here. So we want flush keys, yes, and two lowercase. We have flush keys here, yes, and two lowercase. So let's just copy all of these three and just paste them in right here. And that should be all what we need to do for the utils file. So now let's go back and let's do our next module now. So let's do the files module now that we finished the utils one. Let's go to file.h, and now let's write the safeguards again for this as well. So let's start off by writing hashtag if and def. Again, we're going to say if this is not defined, and we're checking if Seneca underscore file underscore h is not defined. If it's not defined, then we'll define it, and then just copy that, paste it here. Then we'll end the if statement here. Okay. So next thing we're going to want to do is actually include cstdio, because we're going to need to use the data type file, which is included in that library. So then the next thing we want to do is write out the namespace. So we're going to write namespace Seneca. So now we're going to copy in the prototypes for these functions. Let's just copy this, and let's put a quick little comment here so we know what we're looking for. So open file to read consumer rating. Now let's go into the 50 best movies file by clicking that other tab there we have open. And let's find the prototypes at the top here. So we want open file, which is here. And we want open file, close file, read title, all the way down to read consumer rating. So we're going to copy these, paste those in there, clean it up a little bit. Don't need that comment anymore now. So now we need to write all the bodies for these functions. So let's go inside of our .cpp file now. And inside of this file, we're going to want to suppress the CRT warning because we're going to be using like the scanfs inside of here. So we're going to do hashtag define, and we're going to write underscore CRT underscore secure underscore no underscore warnings to suppress these warnings because we're going to be handling them fine. And then we'll also be using namespace std here. And then lastly, we're going to write namespace Seneca here to hold the bodies of our functions. So let's now scroll down and find where all of these are defined. So we have open file and read consumer is the last one. So we want open file, and then all the way down to this last one down here, read consumers. Okay, so let's copy it, and then let's paste it inside of here. So if we save it, that should be fine. And one thing we also need to do is we need to define this variable as well. So if we scroll up in this file here, we're going to see that they define something called file pointer fptr. So we're going to have to define this in our h file. So let's go back into the h file here, file.h. Inside of here, let's add file pointer fptr. So we're going to define that variable right here, but we need to write the keyword extern, and we need to write the keyword extern because we're going to be giving it a value in another file. So let's go over to .cpp now, file.cpp, and right here let's add file pointer fptrs equal to null pointer. And now all these errors should go away. So now we're done with the file module. Now let's finish it off by doing the movie module. So inside of the movie module, we're going to need the struct, and we're going to need these 4 functions. So let's go inside of our .h file. Let's remove this again. And just like how we did before, we're going to do hashtag if not defined, Seneca underscore movie underscore h. And then let's copy it. Then so if that is not defined, then we'll define Seneca movie h, and then we'll end that if statement here. And now let's write out the Seneca namespace by doing namespace Seneca. And then let's put all of the prototypes inside of here. So first thing we're going to want is that struct. And then we're going to need 1, 2, 3, these 4 methods. So let's paste it in here as well. Okay, so now let's go back into that 50 best movies file, and let's find everything we need. So first we need the struct here. Let's paste that in. And then we're probably going to need this array as well, array of movies as well. So let's paste it in here. And this is also going to need extern as well, because we'll be using it in the CPP file, and it's only in a module, not a class. And then lastly, we need these 4 methods here. So load movies, has genre, display movies, and display movies with genre. So let's copy that, paste right here, and now we have all of our prototypes. Okay, so let's remove this comment, not needed anymore. And then let's go into the .cpp file and write the bodies for these. So first thing we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to do hashtag include, and we're going to do file.h because we're going to be using a lot of the file methods, and then we're also going to be using the util methods as well. So let's do hashtag include utils.h, and then we're also going to need to do include the IO stream, and then we're going to do hashtag include cstring, and then let's do using namespace std, and then lastly we're going to add namespace Seneca to define everything inside of here. Namespace, there we go. So first thing we're going to want to do here is let's just redefine the movies array here, like that. And then let's scroll down and find the bodies for these functions. So we want load movies as genre, display movie, and display movies with genre. Let's copy those, paste it right here, and let's save it. We should get no errors. Perfect. Okay, now let's go into our main function, and let's paste in the code for the main function. So I believe if we go back to the instructions, in the instructions here, we should be able to find the main function code wherever it is. Or actually, no, I do think it's actually inside of here. If it's in the, yeah, so it's inside of this main.cpp file in the lab folder. So we can just copy it and then paste it right in. Okay, so now let's try running this, and let's run it with the expected output that they have here. So let's scroll up until we see what we want right here. So we're going to run it, and let's enter in the same values that they'll be looking for here. So let's do Control F5. Okay, it compiled. So now let's first enter in A-N-I-M, A-N-I-M, enter. So we have one movie. You want to do another search? Yes, enter. Now we want comedy. Cool. Another enter. No. Goodbye. So it looks like it works. Perfect. Now let's run it in the command line with Valgrind. So for you guys, you're probably going to want to run it inside your matrix. But I have the terminal here where I can just run it inside of here instead. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to right click this, open in terminal. So inside of my PowerShell, I'm going to need to do a few things. I'm going to have to write WSL set default Ubuntu. Okay. And if you guys are going to try to copy along, you have to install Ubuntu from the Microsoft Store. Just type in Ubuntu and install like the first one you see. Now we're going to do WSL. Oops. WSL. Now we're going to do sudo apt update to make sure everything's up to date here. I'm going to have to enter in my password. Okay, perfect. Okay, it looks like installed, but it's just being a little weird now. So now that it's installed, I'm going to type in G++ to see if I have it installed. So, okay, so G++ is installed. So I'm going to compile the code with that G++ command to make sure that it works as expected. So if you scroll down to, I think, step 5, yeah, here's the command you're going to want to run. So let's copy it. I don't know if I can paste inside of here. Let's try. Control V. No. Right click. Yeah, right click. Okay. I'm going to have to make this full screen, I think. Okay, so if I enter now, it should compile it into a file called SW. So it compiled fine. So now let's run it with Valgrind. I'm going to open this back up again, and let's find the command for Valgrind. Valgrind. Here it is. Okay, so I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it inside of here. Okay, Valgrind. Let's press enter. WS was not found. Let's try Valgrind with /, so it's the current directory. Enter. Okay. Okay, so now it's running. Let's do ANIM for the first genre. Okay. Yes. Now let's do comedy. Awesome. Let's do no. Perfect. We have no errors, no memory leaks. Looks like we're good to go. Hope this video helped, and good luck submitting. Leave a comment if you need help with anything or if you have any questions. Thanks, guys.